Good evening, YouTube. This is SnowFox News at 11. Today's highlights: Rome 2 Total War will be released, a new update for Don't Starve has just been added, and Amnesia, a machine for pigs, is just around the corner. Rounding off our news day, we'll have a brief discussion about video games on the Yukitsu variable. Good evening, YouTube. I'm Yukitsu for SnowFox News. Today's top story, Rome 2 Total War, set to be released September 3rd, which is just 2 weeks away. Our subsidiary channel will of course be fully covering this game upon release, but it has not yet been reported as to what faction will be focused on, nor is it certain as to the game mode which will be explored. Currently, factions include Romans, Carthaginians, Macedonians, Iceni, Suebi, Arveni, Parthians, Egyptians, Pontus, Athenians, Spartans, and Epeirans. This means the Greek city-states are represented by 4 fractured factions, the Africans are represented by 3 strong empires, the Northern Europeans by 2 factions, and the Britons by 1. No news has yet been released detailing the multiplayer system for this game and will inevitably differ from the multiplayer of Shogun 2. Until further understood, expect a campaign playthrough rather than a multiplayer versus mode. The primary problem that Creative Assembly is likely working through is finding a good compromise between the power each faction can bring to the table, the unique aspects of each faction, and the ability to customize one's own army to their liking. As Shogun had relatively uniform armies and army compositions, a competitive and relatively balanced multiplayer was always possible with a variation formed around your own customization. This, of course, is not possible given Rome 2's system wherein each army is dramatically different based on region. Next update, there's been another update to Don't Starve, which has continued with their policy of continual patches. This update will of course be explored as it comes to light in the main series, also on this channel, but the changes to the game at this point in time seem relatively minor, including several bosses, new biome, and several new pieces of equipment. The game has been gaining more and more complexity, but has been gradually adding in challenges, primarily to survival mode. The game may need to adjust itself to provide stronger items for the player and not simply more situational items such as the new staves or things like the baseball bat. At some point, an entirely redone guide to surviving the base game mode may be necessary. Keep an eye out for an updated survival guide in the near future. And the last news story for the day is the upcoming release of Amnesia, a machine for pigs. This title was developed by the same developers that worked on Amnesia, A Dark Descent, but the environments and textures were done in part by the Chinese room developers of Dear Esther. Unlike the distant and isolated castle that Dark Descent took place in, Machine for Pigs takes place in a more urban setting. It's uncertain how this will change the gameplay, but there is a certain possibility for more varied environments. While Amnesia the Dark Descent was well known for its terrifying nature, sometimes frustrating puzzles, and frightening atmosphere, we will endeavor to continue in the way we have, focusing on the game, the ambiance, and remaining calm, rather than fulfilling the same sort of scare cam or reaction-based commentary that is so common to games of that nature. However, if the monster and situations are more frightening in a Machine for Pigs than they were in A Dark Descent, this may of course prove impossible. While somewhat polarizing, Dear Esther's level design, given the limitations to the engine used, was a strong visual experience. Combined with the atmosphere-dependent gameplay of Amnesia, the game has a lot of potential to be even more frightening than the original. However, since the release of Amnesia, there have been a tremendous number of indie horror games, several of which have been scary in their own right. With much more competition in the indie horror genre, it may be that the market has desensitized its audience to potential scares. Amnesia does not have a concrete retail date as of yet, but is available for pre-order. We're forecasting a considerable increase in YouTube scarecam videos upon the release of Machine for Pigs, so we would also like to recommend our own series, as it will endeavor to have a pair. And that covers our news for today, but let's turn our attention over to Dave at the Yukitsu variable only on SnowFox News. Greetings YouTube and welcome to the Yukitsu variable, only on SnowFox News. Today's topic, Gabe Newell and Valve, a knife-crazed maniac brainwashing today's youths with knife murder simulations. It's no secret that Valve owner and one of the main minds behind the murder simulator distribution engine Steam is a tremendous knife fanatic. Now, since someone probably murdered someone with a knife somewhere, and that guy was probably a gamer, we need to start talking about banning these games. Half-Life 2, a well-known game wherein a reputable scientist Gordon Freeman goes about killing innocent civilians of the Combine before using his knowledge of godforsaken science to wipe out an entire city. He's often seen and represented with his peculiarly shaped knife. Another Valve knife murder simulator is Team Fortress 2, where people dress in balaclavas and attempt to stab unwitting people in the back. It seems pretty clear that Gabe Newell and others have done. They have created a distribution platform and series of games to create an army of faithful knife-wielding assassins to tear down the establishment and place Valve at the top of the world hierarchy. Various studies from the Institute of Made-Up Science have concluded without a doubt that playing these games directly causes violent, knife-wielding behavior in your children. Make sure that you work to protect your children from these sorts of games. This has been Snowfox News and the Yukitsu Variable. Next up, the big sports game.